Excellent. Okay, good. Welcome on this lovely Tuesday. If you're in the UK or if you're in London, it's actually quite sunny. Lovely day to be stuck in an office. And today we're going to go over, I should have put this on the first slide, but I didn't. We're going to go over sales. So using Gemini in a sales role. So let's go through the basics and the high level of Gemini first. For anyone who didn't attend yesterday's call, just do a quick recap. Be active, be engaged. I'm going to ask questions. I'd love feedback in the emoji form, as you can see at the bottom. If you don't know what that is, there's a little smiley face at the bottom next to the screen share button. Hit that button and be reactive. Give me a thumbs up if you can see where the emojis are, please, so I know that we're all there, caffeinated and listening, and I'm not on mute. That's perfect. Thank you. We can, so at the end of the session, if there's questions and I need some clarification, you can unmute and tell me your question voice, but keep your microphones muted, especially if you're in a busy office. You can also add comments in the chat. At the bottom, there's a speech bubble. Go ahead and click that speech bubble to add comments if you want to, or ask, if you're voice shy as well, definitely ask questions there. Thank you very much, Marcus. Exactly that. For questions, I actually do appreciate using the Q&A section. So at the bottom, there's some shapes. If you click those shapes, you'll see an option for Q&A where you'll be able to ask questions and thumbs up questions that are already there. That's honestly the easiest way to go through questions, so definitely use that if you have any. Okay. Good. Who am I? So if you weren't here yesterday, I'll do a quick intro again. So I'm Pablo Sava, based here in the UK. I'm actually based, my office space is in London, but I live and work from home in Scotland. I think it's now over 10 years experience in Google Workspace. I'm feeling the age. Lots of experience in the recent AI surge, with many large customers introducing AI into their business, and work here at Devo Team G Cloud. If you have questions, if you want to pick my brain, please do reach out. I'm here for everyone if they have questions. Good. Oh, let's get stuck into generative. Look at that, straight into a graph. So I think the key takeaway here is about early adoption. So where are we on this journey of AI? I would say we're still in the visionary adoption phase, where AI is starting to come into fruition, where you're seeing it in your day-to-day jobs, but it's not quite adopted by everyone yet. I think it's going to happen where every business is going to have an element of this, regardless. There's no stopping it, whether you want it or not. It's going to be shadow AI. Well, that's a new term, not shadow IT, but shadow AI. So it's about how you embrace that and take your business on that same journey. The important part here, though, is that today, AI is still evolving. I think there's a pinnacle where AI needs to learn a little bit more as to how to understand humans, and humans need to learn a little bit more as to how to prompt for AI. And we will meet at this point where we're going to have a very clear understanding of how we can use AI in our day-to-day. Hopefully today, we can get some tips, some tricks, and some understandings how to use that in a sales role. Today, we focus on only part of the AI offering from Google. So we focus on AI embedded into Google Workspace. You can ask questions about the other AI. I will do my best to get those answers for you. But for today, it's going to be the prompting in the side panel and gemini.google.com that's embedded within a Gemini Google Workspace license. So that's a license you can purchase for a user that will enable Gemini in their account. Other forms of Gemini are token-based and usage-based. This one is based on a license added to your Google Workspace environment. Okay. So this week we're starting to do quite a few sessions. We're doing ones on helping sellers productivity, and that's today's session. We'll do marketing and how marketing can use Gemini as well. Actually, I've got some customer service ones, but we're actually not doing a session on customer service. But we can do, if based on feedback, if that's something of interest, we can run one of those as well. Good. And I need to make sure that we're all on the same page to understand how we interact with Gemini. So with Gemini, there's 3 ways to interact with Gemini on Google Workspace. That's the inline, help me write. So you'll see this in Gmail Compose. You'll see this in Google Docs, where it's a little pencil icon, and you can prompt to ask it to create content. So write me a brief blog about, or compose me a draft email to said customer. Side panel is the persistent panel within your services. So you've got a side panel in Gmail, a side panel in Drive. What I really like about the side panel is it's in your face. I think something that is missing with many AI products is it needs to be in your face so that you can remember to use it. It seems like a simple concept, but actually quite an important one. It's often forgotten when I can use AI. And the Gemini.google.com interface, which is a service in its own right, which has memory in terms of keeping a history of your chat. The importance here, and I'll go over that in a minute, is when to use which service. When do I use Gemini.google.com? When do I use the site? Just a bit more on side panel, but actually I'm going to skip through this. And wow, we blasted through that in 10 minutes. We're going to be a little bit earlier on the demo, but very keen to get questions at the end. So without much more delay, let's take a look at Gemini in action. So one request from you. So I'm just going to set the scene here. This is a live demo. Things will go wrong. They always do. So expect prompts not to come back with the right thing. That's very much going to happen. I can promise you that. And secondly, I'm on one screen today, so bear with me as I fumble around my windows. Apologies. I'm not used to just having the one screen usually. So I'll move this into here. Good. And I'll stop presenting. Cool. Now, let me present my entire screen. Oh, this is not going to work. Bear with me a second. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's do this. Share screen, window, here we go. Excellent. So, let's start with Gemini.google.com. So the brief is that we are about to get introduction into a new customer, a new prospect. A friend of a friend knows someone quite senior in a supermarket chain. It has to be a specific one for this purpose because I need to be able to actually do some research on them. So for this, and we have no affiliation to any companies mentioned in this demo, please just happen to have a product from them on the table, so we'll use that name. So I've drafted the prompt here already, so I don't end up spelling badly in this demo. But if we go to Gemini.google.com, before I even speak to the customer, oh, this is new, thank you. There's something new in Gemini every day. So before I even speak to the customer, I want to understand as much background information as I possibly can on that customer. So notice I've gone to Gemini.google.com. Now, this is critical for 2 reasons. One, if I use the side panel and I close the side panel or that page, it disappears. Whereas if I use Gemini.google.com, I can come back to this and go back to the chat. So you'll see all my historic chats with Gemini.google.com. And in this case, I'm going to do some research. So I'm going to ask Gemini, first I have to design a prompt. The design of the prompt here is, as a sales specialist and account manager working at Devoteam G Cloud, I'm about to be introduced to potentially a new customer, a UK supermarket brand called Marks and Spencer's. Just as an example, again, no affiliation, not actually happening. Are you able to give me further background and information on this customer to aid my initial meeting with them? Please include any financial data as well. I want to understand their budgets. So let's do that. So with that, I absolutely love this. So historically, this would have been trolling through Google search, trying to find the annual reports, trying to understand what the position of the business is. Whereas here we've got a very clear high level of overview of the company, which I really like that actually. Public financial data, so everything that's public, from 2024, March 2024, and that's performance. And then key considerations for my meeting. So because I've given it context about who I am, or where I work, Gemini has actually given me some three areas of focus, which is great. Digital transformation, so I need to focus on some of the digital capabilities. Sustainability focus, so this company has a sustainability goal, clearly, that we should focus on. And customer experience, and I think that's because of the type of company it is. It does focus a lot on customer experience, which is great. I agree. And some additional tips. I do like this. So Gemini's giving me some additional tips for what I should do next. So why don't we take that and actually reply? So let's reply with, great. Are you able to provide details on the annual report or recent press release summaries? So actually, it's telling me I should do that. So I'm going to ask Gemini to do it. So it's done some more detailed findings from the annual reports, which is really good. So this is what I'm interested in. Strategic priorities. This is great. Recent press releases. This is very good. So this will be quite good for my meeting that's coming up. Good. So with that, we are able to take that information. Now you're going to think, how we can make this useful? Now, bear with me. So if I click this share button and export, I can click that share button, export this to a Google Doc. I'll do that. And then I should be able to open that doc. Yeah, open docs. There we go. Great. So now I've got all of that information that's provided me in a Google Doc, which is great. What I'm going to do is also I'm going to just rename this Google Doc so I can find it later, because actually the name that Gemini provides it is your prompt, which is not very useful. So let's do that. Good. And now we have our prep for the meeting, which is great. So the next step is to do the meeting. So let me just go and grab a slide here for you guys. So in the meeting, it's a little bit difficult to present meetings, Gemini meetings. So what I'm going to do is going to show you a slide just now. Here we go. So in the meeting I have with the customer, I have two options. I can create Gemini note-taking. So that's literally like an assistant sitting in my call that's giving me high-level notes on the discussion and noting any actions. I do recommend doing that, but I also recommend something else, which is going to be really important later, which is clicking the transcribe button, which is actually what we're doing in this call as well. So when we transcribe, the difference there is that it captures every word that's being said in the call. This is useful because we can do stuff with that transcription later, which I'll show you. So in Google Meet, we've got the take notes, gives us our action items and what's going on, and the transcribe. So once we've done that with the customer, and I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, transcribing with a customer, obviously ask their permission, make sure they're comfortable with it. You can say it's my way of taking notes, which it definitely is my way of taking notes, to be able to follow up afterwards. So yeah, so that's the transcribe. Let me see if I can grab that document. Bear with me a second. Transcribe. I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, I've lost it. Oh, here it is. 2 seconds. Share this tab instead. This is my notes. Hold on. I'm going to give you the transcribe. Here we go. So we did the call. The customer joined the call as you weren't invited. I'm sorry. Now the meeting invite it was on the spur of the moment meeting. So the name of the event is a random name, but I gave the document a name up here. We've got the 2 attendees and what we talked about. So in this, I really quite like that once I have the transcribe, I can ask Gemini some questions. So in Google Docs, I can open up the side panel. Yep.
Just 1 second. You're showing still the MS Devo. Yes. Now
Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that. This is the transcript, not the last one. There we go. So in here, you can see the attendees. You can see everything that's been said. Obviously, take this with a pinch of salt. It can be a little bit less accurate with accents, with unclear voice, for example. So please just be careful. Oh, it does say that it might contain errors, but the general gist should be there. So with the Gemini button at the top, you get the side panel. Now, what I quite like, just by clicking that button, you already get the prompt summary. So you can see here that the salesperson is Marcus, and he's from Devo team, and he spoke with the CIO of Marks and Spencer's. There we go. Look at that. I'm not the CIO of Marks and Spencer's, by the way. I'm here doing this demo. But he's shared his vision. I mean, the key points are already in this, which is great for understanding what the key takeaways are. What I want to do is I want to actually, maybe I'm someone who didn't attend this meeting. Maybe Marcus needs an opinion from someone else as to whether the meeting went well. So by sharing this transcript, and I really like this, I can ask what the sentiment of the call was like. So I'm going to put a prompt in here that says, what is the sentiment of the people, converting, no, it's conversing. Conversing in this transcript. Now, I like this because it says, it seems both Pablo and Marcus are eager to work together and improve Marks and Spencer's use of Google Workspace. Pablo is ambitious about the company growth and potential for Google Workspace. I really like this. So I don't know if you guys have like Salesforce or something where you're tracking things. This is perfect for that. Salesforce summary, if you like, an op summary is probably the right way of putting it. So grab that sentiment, drill down into it more if you need to, but I think it's a really nice way of getting an understanding of how the call went. You can also drill down into a specific person's sentiment, which is actually quite nice, especially if you're trying to understand if the person on the other end of the call, you can decide what kind of way they were going. Then you can ask Gemini to make that decision based on what they said as well. So maybe actually let's go a bit further. In this call, I want to extract what were the key blockers, where should I focus my next steps on as a salesperson. So let's add this in here and say, what are the key blockers stated in this document about Google Workspace? So we had a very specific conversation about Google Workspace. So let's take a look. Great. So the key blockers stated in this document were about lack of training and understanding of the tools, not using Workspace to its full capacity, and not understanding the security settings. Again, disclaimer, there's just an example here. None of this is real. Just to make sure that you don't think that certain supermarkets have issues. This is not the case. Anyway, great. So now we've actually got some really interesting feedback. We can park that. We can put it into the notes. If you wanted to, you could go right to the bottom here, and you can enter the notes straight into the document as a summary, or at the top. It's up to you. But I quite like that. Good. So now we've just a tiny recap. We've got introduced to the customer. We've done our research with the customer. We've done a post-call review of how the call went. And now we want to actually start putting something together. Now we want to put some content together. Now, I want to do this really quickly because the follow-up is literally like the next day, and I really can't afford to waste too much time. So we should be able to use all of the content we've got today, just now, to really quickly create a deck. Okay, so let's do that. I'm not going to show you slides anymore. Let's just go straight into the nitty-gritty. So in a new tab, and I will change the tab, I promise, and just create it. I'm going to create a new slide deck. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's this tiny piece of anxiety when I see an empty deck. And I know I've got to make this whole pitch for the next day, and I'm just staring at a empty slide on a slide deck. This is the blank page syndrome, I call it. And we want to avoid this. But we know we've already got a starting point, which is great. So what can we do? We can do this, which is create a slide listing the blockers and pitfalls of Google Workspace. And we did say it was M&S, didn't we? Yeah. From this transcript. So let me do, and then this is the bit I really like. If you use the @ symbol, you can then say M&S Deborah Research. There we go. No, that's the research we did from Gemini, actually. No, what I want to do, I've gone one step. Okay, let's do this slide first. Sorry, I've done one slide too early. I haven't given the background of the customer. But let's do this slide first. So let's go to let's do the transcript. Sales intro. So I want Gemini to create a slide listing the blockers and pitfalls of Google Workspace and M&S Supermarket from the transcript we created earlier. So let's do that. Oh, it's a big ask. Lovely. So what it's done is it's gone into that transcript that we did. It's pulled out the blockers. We didn't have to list them in the document. It would have done the same anyway. And it's now listed them as bullet points. And it's also just created an AI image for us as well, copyright free. So we're okay to use it. But actually, I want to do another slide. So let me just insert a new slide. And actually, what I didn't do, and it should be before this slide, is I didn't give an overview to show that we understand the business. So what I'm going to say is create a slide. I'm definitely doing this off piece now. Create a slide that shows M&S supermarket markets goals and targets. We go and then remember where I exported that Gemini.google.com research into a document. So let's go into M&S Deborah Research. Let's do that. Oops. And then let's get that out. So I'm asking it to use the information it found on the internet about M&S to create a slide of an overview to understand to show we understand where the business is going, basically. And there we go. Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't know why stop is the generated image. I don't know what they're stopping. I'm going to hit retry on that one. See, again, this is a live demo. So that is not the image I expected. But yeah, so the supermarket goals and targets, strong profits, revenue growth. So that's all from that research that we did earlier, which is quite nice. Oh, look, oh, that's better. Oh, it found the word supermarket. Perfect. This is nice. So just like a human, may not always quite understand what's been asked, understand the assignment, I should say. So it's now got, to be honest, that's a pretty good slide. I would be pretty happy with that. We understand that you're focusing on strong profit growth, revenue growth in certain areas like clothing and home, reshaping the supermarket, all of this, and I didn't type it, which is really nice. So now we've got two core parts of this this deck. To be honest, I think we could probably get into more detail on this one by elaborating a bit more, but that's about reprompting a bit. So I'm going to do one more. This is the slide I absolutely hate making. I'm going to ask it to make an agenda slide. It's going to be a short agenda because there's only 2 slides, but create a slide with the agenda for this deck presentation. What's the right term? Depends on which country you're in, I suppose. And let's see what Gemini comes out with. Lovely. Oh, it's added some suggested ones. Oh, I like this. It's not a meeting though. Well, I might have to tweak that. I mean, it only has 2 slides to go on, to be fair. So if you had more slides, I'm sure it'd be better created. But current, yeah, that's right. So goals and targets, current workspace blockers. There you go. This is my next step. So thank you, Gemini, for proposing what I should do next. Proposal for workspace training program and training program timeline. That's exactly what I was going to do. So thank you. I'll do a new slide. And I was actually going to show how, oh, and it suggested a theme this time. This is all new for me. I like this. So I'm actually going to say, create a slide describing the deliverables from our Amplify CSS package at Devo team located here. And I'll put that. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background what this means. We go. And let's hit go on that one. So what I'm asking Gemini to do here is actually a bit more advanced than the last few prompts. I'm asking Gemini to create a slide describing the deliverables of our offering at Devo Team, which is our CSS package for Google Workspace, which is called Amplify, which includes things like training for onboarding and all those things to address the needs of the customer. So let's see how that fares. So it's extracting content from another slide deck, which has already got the offering in it, and putting it in here. Excuse me. There we go. Look at this. So it's extracted those offerings. So we have transformation hackathon, onboarding, Google Workspace training, ask me anything, drop-in sessions, Vault training. That looks pretty much on par with what we need. Hasn't made me a pretty picture, which is unfortunate, but we can add that later as well by literally creating create an image to describe, let's say technical training. No, not technical training. Computer training. Helps if I can spell. There we go. So it didn't make me an image, but hey, let's ask for one anyway. You don't have to make an image in the side panel. You can use the button here. Oh, I like this. This is cool. Which one do I use? I'm going to use this one, I think. So let's put that. Yeah, that's lovely. So let's put that in. Excellent. And there we have it. We have our deliverables package. Good. So let me just see where we are. Aha. I'll pause. I'm just going to go check and see if we've got any questions. You are all awfully quiet. Just make sure I'm still connected. Yes. Okay, good. Excellent. So thumbs up if you've been following so far and have learned something new already about Gemini AI. Oh, great. Look at this. Okay, good. I'm glad you're all still with me. This is good. We are going to go a little bit more. I'm going to go into details on how we can use some of these features in Gmail. Let me just pause, see what the questions are like before I disappear from here. Oh, we have some questions. These are great. Okay, I will answer those as well in just a second. Good. Well, they're very good questions. Okay, excellent. Let's go into the Gmail part, and then I will start answering some questions in just a few minutes. So we have now got the deck, an agenda with the deck, the deliverables, our background as to what is the customer's needs and their goals. Next step is to draft an email. So if I copy this link, luckily we have had a response from the customer saying thank you for the call. And let me just share this tab instead. The customer's name and face looks awfully like mine, but let's just move past that. But I can reply. Actually, customer, we're ready for you. So what I can do, is I can open up, you can see the email, yes, you can. I can open up the reply button, or reply all, as we all should use that button. I've made a prompt here, so I will just go into here. Oops. Oh, do you know what we haven't done? We haven't named our deck. Let me just name this. S present demo slides. I just needed to name the slides before I can do anything. There we go. You can tell this is on the fly for sure. So I'm going to open up the side panel in Gmail. I really like this, by the way. The side panel in Gmail is going to help you a lot in long threads of emails, summarizing, but also in this form where you want to do a reply that pulls out information from a file. Wait for this. I think this is one of the things I absolutely despise, is creating a long, detailed email explaining the agenda of a deck I made. And I find this very frustrating. So the prompt is going to be, as a sales specialist at DevaTeam, explain to DevaTeam's new potential customer M&S, by the way, they're not, again, it's just a demo, how it was a pleasure to meet them last week. And as a follow-up, I would like to schedule a call with the relevant people at M&S to go through the following topics, and then do a summary of, and then we can do at M&S demo. Oh, I made the file very recently. I'm wondering if it's going to get listed. No, might have to refresh. That was too quick of me to go. Oh, is it this one? No. Okay. Let me, 1 second. I'm too fast. It does need to index, and also I just renamed the file. So it does need to know about the file before I can use it. So I'm just going to refresh this page. Give me 2 seconds. I'm offline. Hopefully, are you able to see me? I hope I'm still there. Yes. Okay, good. Whew, that was scary. Let me reply. Okay, let's give that prompt another go. So basically I'm asking it to create an email response detailing the agenda in the deck we just made. So at M&S. There it is, demo slides. I was way too quick. That was a problem. That doesn't usually happen for me, by the way. Definitely not a fast person. Let's see what comes out. I'm very curious. I haven't tried it with, well, you just seen, we just made the deck together. I haven't tried it with this deck. So let's see how that happens. So just while that's being created, any images that we use are copyright free. So we shouldn't have any issue with using those images with customers or anything like that. This is great. So it's already captured that I'm replying to Paul Brown. So dear Paul, pleasure speaking with you. I'd like to schedule up a follow-up. Maybe this is a bit too brash. If I don't think I'd send this to a customer. Want to talk to you about the blockers you mentioned, including lack of training and not understanding how to use Workspace. Maybe that's okay. I don't know. Maybe direct is good. Dev team offers a comprehensive training. Oh, this is much more detailed than I was expecting. Yeah, this is great. How we can help with your goals and targets. This is so I'm actually quite happy with this. So I think what we'll do is we copy that and pop it into my email. And there it is, ready to go. Obviously you can tweak it. You can attach the document as well. Don't forget to do that. What I do like though is in this email, it didn't just use the one source for that I gave it. If I open this up, it did. Okay, so that's why. So it looked at the email for context, and it used the file that I sourced, which is really nice. So it used those two pieces of information to create this draft response, which is really handy, if I'm honest. Good. I'm going to pause. Oh no. Oh, actually no. Very importantly, but I haven't finished up on Gmail yet. So importantly, we have I don't know if you guys have seen this before, which is good. Let me stop presenting other tab. Whoops. And then present this tab. Yes, allow and allow. If you're a salesperson, you're usually on the go. So doing quick formal responses to customers is critical. And I think for a salesperson, this is the absolute win. This is where you can use those smart replies straight from the mobile app and Gmail. And I think that's really critical. It means that you're more proactively able to reach out. It means that you are quicker to respond, especially if you're on the go. And you don't lack that, accidental mistake of spelling issues, wrong person, that kind of thing. So actually, this is probably where I've seen a really big benefit for the salespeople. And then we go into Drive, which is the last piece, and then I'll take questions. So I want to show you Google Drive, which is an important part of this, because I have to go into a different account, so bear with me. Oops. There we go. Yeah, it's here. Perfect. So let me stop sharing my slides and show you how this works. I think this is one of the more exciting features, if I'm honest. You're going to see a very messy screen at first, and then hopefully you'll see the the Drive. So one of the things that's very frustrating as an account manager, as an account executive, or a salesperson is understanding the existing relationship with a customer. So it's quite often that you'll have someone hands someone else an account. So let's say you have an existing customer and you're changing the salesperson that's associated with that account. Perhaps you want to make sure that the person that's taking on the customer understands the order history. So for this reason, you can say summarize all contracts with M and S. Now, I can tell you that the contract draft, a demo one that doesn't actually exist. Again, we don't have M and S, but this example document, I did not put the word contract in as well, because I wanted to understand the context. So summarize all contracts with M and S. And now it's going to go into my entire drive, what I have access to. So it's not just files I own. It's going to my shared drives. So if you have a shared drive with all the contracts, that's going to be ideal. And then it's a demo. So it's going to say we don't have one. To be fair, it's found some internet. This is very interesting. It's very contradictory because it's found on the internet that M&S is a Microsoft customer, and that we wouldn't have a Google contract with them. So it's a little bit conflicted internally with what's on the internet and with what I have. But I made a contract here. It did find it. It knows that there's a contract there. So I can then summarize it. Let me just see if I can find that. Oh, you're going to see a really messy screen. Apologies. What was the prompt I used? Okay. My fault. My prompt was terrible. So what I'm going to do here is show you that if you do a proper prompt, so as a new sales AM at Devo Team G Cloud, I need to understand all the details of the customer, Marks and Spencer's. Are there any documents and contracts that would be useful for this? That's better. My original prompt was just, is there any contracts? And so Gemini doesn't understand my priority. Now that I've specified my role as a sales AM, it understands that I'm new. It understands what I'm looking for and what my priorities are. So if I do that prompt now, it should list not just the contract. Yeah, there we go. It will also list the document, which we did the research on. It should list the slides, but that's in another account at the moment. So we'll list all of those relevant pieces of information without having to go into all the different shared drives and in a sales drive and all this other stuff. It's all in one place. So the ability to surface content, it's kind of like, imagine it's like search on steroids, because what you're doing is you're searching for context, not just content. So in here, you've given it the context that you're new and you need to understand this customer, and it's gone back and given you the right files for that context, which is much better than search. Good. Okay. I'm just going to cycle back to, let me just stop sharing, cycle back to the deck. I'm going to take questions because we've done the security side of things before. If we don't have many questions, then I'll come back and finish the same security slides we did yesterday for anyone who didn't attend. So let's take a look. We have got lots of questions. Good. Let's start from the top. Is there any in chat as well? No. Good. Let's do most popular. Let's start from most popular. Is the data basics for Gemini always up to date? Live data, or is it similar to ChatGPT where there's a fixed point in time for the databases? Okay, that the second part is correct. And then I think this applies for any large learning model. It's simply too costly, too much resource to have it constantly updating. So you'll get points in time and updates when the learning model has been updated. So to answer this question is, and this is related to, I think what I saw was another comment here as well. You must always check the content you're getting from any, this isn't just Gemini, but from any AI learning model. And that's because there's always going to be a time at which that learning model has been updated and their relevant information updated. Unlike Google Search, it's much more difficult to update a full learning model constantly in real time. And so you're going to have those incremental updates. So yes, the question is a great one, by the way. I think there's some learning models that advertise a much more regular update. A Gemini, I don't know, and it's a good one, actually. I should try and find out, but I don't know how regular the Gemini updates are. But always check the content you get. And it should be quick. Once you have that information, popping that into Google Search. Actually, I'll show you in just a second. In Gemini, there's now a little magnifying glass that lets you check that data in Google Search, which is great. So to support your understanding what data Gemini is giving you, it makes it really easy as well. So hopefully that answers that question. Good. The slides you created use different sources. How did Gemini get access to them? How was it allowed to access them? Was it allowed to access them? This is a great question. I actually just skipped the slide on this to answer questions, so maybe I shouldn't have. I do have a slide I'll show just in a second on the screen. So the way that the security aspects of Gemini and Google Workspace works, and this is very important, it's a good Gemini for Google Workspace, is that it's almost like a parrot on your shoulder. So you have access to your account. Gemini can only access the files that your account has access to. So if something is shared or accessible by you and your account, the same way you search Google Drive, at the top there's a search bar in Drive, then Gemini has access to that as well within your account. Everything that Gemini does is within the confines of your account, not your environment, your account. Okay, So Gemini has no access to files that your account does not have access to. That's really important. And that is really going to be very, very important when you're thinking about what is shared, how it's shared, and what you have access to. So just to satisfy anyone, if I ask Gemini for giving me all of the wages of every role and person in my company, I will definitely not get that, because I do not have access to HR's roles and payments at all. So someone in HR might have access to the team that they've hired. That's because they might have that in a file in Drive. But if you do not have access to it, Gemini will not give you any extra access. So it's account-based is the answer to that question. Okay. The design. Okay. Yes, I knew this was coming. This was definitely going to be a question. I'm glad it's here. The slides are designed very simply. If you use a presentation template with predefined colors and fonts, will they also be used in a slide generated by Gemini? Pardon me. So the answer to this is no, not at the moment. I hear you loud and clear. I think half the battle is themes. Yeah, perfect reaction. I would agree. I'm on par with you there. Please be patient. So I don't know if you've seen the updates we've seen from January to this point have been humongous in Gemini. Slides is definitely one of those that's getting attention. Please watch this space. The other thing is that you can right-click theme that slide once you've created it. So you can get at least more than halfway there in theming that slide. But yeah, watch this space. I agree. I would like Gemini to make things look pretty. You know what? The content, maybe I can do that, but the pretty part is the difficult part, I think. But yes, loud and clear. This is very clear feedback, and keep an eye on things going forward. Okay, the search from Marks & Spencer's via Gemini.google.com is very different to Google.com. I like this question. It opens up a whole heap of discussion here, because it's very different what you're looking at in search versus what you're looking at in a learning model. So let's start from the beginning. Firstly, Google.com is going to give you references to places that contains information, whereas a learning model has gone a little bit deeper and goes into the places that have information and has learnt from them and contained information. So, for example, I'll give you a very good example of this. If you searched for a financial report, about 90% of financial reports are in PDFs. So if I said, give me a financial report for Marks & Spencer's in this case, for example, it's very likely that Google search will bring you 1 or 2 PDFs, and then you have to open that PDF and search within that PDF for the content you need. Google search isn't going to surface the content out of the resource that it's linking you to. It's literally pointing you to the right place. So that's why you see quite a big difference. So that's part number 1. Part number 2, if you see a difference in actual content, again, difference between when the learning model was updated and what's currently on Google. So Google is live and is constantly being updated. The learning model is less live. I know that sounds weird, but is on an incremental basis. So it can be out of date. Hence the reason any learning model, any AI, you must always check your reference and datas, always. Good. These are great questions, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. Also, I was worried that I'd lost some of you there, so that those questions are clearly showing that we haven't. So that's good. We're actually pretty much at time. I will show just one last slide on the security aspect of things, because I know that was a question and it's important. And then we will wrap up, if that's okay. Good. So I know this is a complex image. It is public. You should be able to find this. And it's very important to note that Gemini does not share any prompts outside. So let me annotate. Oh, I can annotate. This is a thing. Hold on a sec. Oh, I can't annotate. Maybe because I'm presenting. Let me just annotate in here. Let's make this easier. Here we go. So here, Gemini does not share your prompts on generated responses to other users in your organization. Everything you put in the side panel and in gemini.google.com is private to the account only. Likewise, Gemini does not store your prompts or generated responses. So in the side panel, they will disappear. You do have the chat history in gemini.google.com, but it doesn't store it outside of your account. So in here is your account, in here is outside your account. Your prompts are not stored anywhere else apart from within the confines of your account. Gemini runs on the same infrastructure as a Google Workspace, so it adheres to the same terms and conditions as Google Workspace and security policies, and most importantly, also adheres to the same DLP and security policies you have in Google Workspace. And Gemini does not train the public learning model. If you have a license on your environment, if you don't have a license on your environment, turn off Gemini service to avoid training the public learning model. That's important. So if you have a Gemini license, definitely doesn't train the public learning model. Okay, good. I'm going to stop there. I've been talking at you all a lot. I hope some of it was useful, if not even just 5% of it was useful. I hope you enjoyed the demo. I hope that it means you can go away and think about how much time you can save making proposals, talking to customers. Yeah, and I've really enjoyed doing the session today, so I really appreciate you joining. If you have any questions at all, want to talk further about some of those use cases, or if there's any use cases you can think of that would be interesting to discuss, please do reach out. There are teams here for you and your questions. Good. Okay, have a great day. Speak to some of you tomorrow. I'll be someone else presenting tomorrow, but I'll be back the day after. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate this. Mark